TV Musings, fall TV preview review of Gotham! Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and today I am looking at the new TV series Gotham, continuing with looking at the new series coming this fall, or that have arrived. They're already here. You can already watch them. And looking at Gotham, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to talk about Gotham, and I wasn't quite sure if I was even going to watch Gotham when I originally heard about it, which has got to be like a year and a half ago at least. I had just heard that it was sort of a Batman prequel from the perspective of Commissioner Gordon when he was a detective, and I was like, awesome. And then, because I really like that character, and then as I started to see the previews, I was like, whoa, this looks really dark, and I can't even tell who Commissioner Gordon is at all. But after seeing a couple people talk about the pilot episode, actually, no, I've seen mixed response, to be honest. I will say I've seen mixed response. Some people said that they really like it, and some people said that they really didn't like it. So I was like, well, I gotta watch it myself and make up my own mind. So I did, and I'm pretty sure it was just called Pilot. And so it's kind of weird because it is about Commissioner Gordon when he's a detective, and and the state of Gotham at that time, but it's also really about the state of Gotham at that time, and so there's lots of characters, holy crap, and we get it's like now I'm like, wow, how many times have we seen the scene of Bruce Wayne losing his parents? Like, they showed just the even the silhouette of a kid and two adults, and I'm like, I know what's going to be happening in this scene. So we have that. So we have the young Bruce Wayne losing his parents, and then the first episode is sort of about the mystery and the crime of that. So I thought that was actually a good starting point because it didn't weigh too heavily on that, and it established sort of all the the players in a lot of ways. So that was it was good, but wow, there are so many characters, and I am fairly familiar with Batman and the Batman universe. I not so much the newer. I still haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises. But moving past that, did I lose everyone? But I am more familiar with the old, live action TV series and the animated TV series that was in the 90s and stuff like that, and of course the Tim Burton movie, and then the newer movies, the first two. So I am fairly well versed. But it was there were so many characters that I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Oh yeah, I know who that is. And of course, have to say, love the Riddler, being Shannon Riddler, even though my name is with one D. Love the Riddler, loved him instantaneously. I didn't actually know who he was until they referred to him as, by his name, which I think is Enigma, or it's, it's a play on words kind of thing. And I was like, yes, awesome! And he's sort of the forensics guy, and it's that makes sense. And I don't know how much of a if that's true, if that's who he was. And I'm not a purist. I'm certainly, especially not with Batman, I'm not a purist. I don't, I'm not going to harp on small details because I don't know the details. I'm taking this for what it is. If I know something from previous knowledge of Batman, great. If I don't, it better make sense in terms of the story. And mostly it did, with the exception of there definitely were certain characters, and it's very clear that character is important, and people would be going, oh. I wasn't. I did with the character the Riddler. I definitely, and of course the Penguin one is clear as day. Whether this is the first time you were watching something or not, they refer to him as the Penguin. So that was very clear. But there's just so many. For me, I did find it kind of overwhelming because we have Detective Gordon and his partner Harvey, and then there's a duo from Major Crimes, and then there's whoever's the Detective Gordon's boss, and that's just sort of the police force, and then there's all the different criminals. There's the Penguin, who is under Fish, who's a woman who was actually quite good, very good, and but then there's then there's the mob, and then there's Detective Gordon's wife, and then there's Bruce Wayne, and then there's Alfred, and then there's some girl who's jumping around on rooftops kind of stuff, looking a little steampunky, And there was more people than that, and that was just sort of, those are the people that had multiple scenes and were important to this episode and in general. So I'm kind of like, whoa, that is a lot to take in. So wow, that was a lot. And I didn't want to look it up because I don't want to accidentally see that this person plays Anna slash I'm gonna make up a superhero name slash flying cat. Like I don't want to accidentally figure that out. And there were several I picked up, and there's several I didn't. So I think that's good for me. That was a good mix. I felt like I know this world enough to sort of play in it, but there will be some surprises along the way, which I think is a good thing. For me, the best thing about the episode actually was Gordon, James Gordon, Jimmy Gordon, Detective Gordon, the will be one day Commissioner Gordon, played by Ben McKenzie. He was the best thing about it. Every time he was on screen, I thought he was awesome, great character, but also one of the challenges about it is he is like the only character I like. Everyone else is corrupt, and that's but that's what it's about. Like this is trying to tell the story of how he tries to bring order out of chaos, how to get the corrupt out from within. So that's challenging, because he talks to Bruce Wayne about it, and talking about, always look that there is always light. And I love that as a sentiment, but as a series, this is really, really, really dark. Like, the cops are like probably all corrupt. There's lots of criminals. The violence is very present. I'm like, was there torture? There either was or was going to be torture. There was lots of beatings. There was, of course, someone owns a strip club or whatever, and so there was like, exotic dancers stretching in the background of several scenes, which was really disheartening. I'm like, seriously? Do I have to sit through this? Seriously? And it's owned by a woman, which makes it even worse in some ways. I don't know. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the possibility that it could be procedural, because hell, he plays a cop, and he's trying to clean up crime. This could easily be procedural, and this episode did read a lot as procedural because they're trying to solve the case of the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents. So yeah, that's a bit challenging, and it's so dark, which doesn't work for me. Just in general, I'm just not into that right now. And I actually have to admit that I was highly not impressed that the commercials specifically featured this scene with a penguin. It's a really good scene, and I've seen it over and over and over again. But that scene is actually sort of like not really about him too much, as more so it's to do with his boss, which is played by a woman who you don't see in any of the commercials. So I'm kind of like, I do like that there are so many female characters, sort of like in every sort of aspect of things, except for like at the Wayne home, there's a prominent female character, or equal status female character, which was awesome. So I'm really happy with that. I'm just not like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I find, to be honest, I find this one a bit challenging, because I think it's I don't know how, like, I would feel like they're playing to the fans, but it feels like a really weird time to play to the fans about this. But maybe I'm just not, I'm not a fan, so maybe that's not true. I'm not sure. But I loved the guy who played Gordon. I thought he was great. It also stars Donal Logue as Harvey Bullock, who I have this weird thing about not recognizing Donal Logue. It's like, oh yeah, he's in that. Who was he? Like, oh yeah, he's in that movie. Who was he? I don't know why. So maybe this will firmly cement him in my mind. It's just, it freaks me out. Whenever I see his name come up at the end of the movie, I'm like, who did he play? So I'm like, I guess I don't have a touchstone thing that I've seen him in, but I've seen him in lots of things. And he was good, but his character is it's not a likable character. But, or is it? Like, he's actually probably the grayest character because he's on the police force, but he's without question working with the criminals. So that is really challenging. Anyway, it was better than I expected. It did make me feel like I'm more likely to watch it than I expected. I will keep watching it, but to be honest, I have a feeling with there being so much this season, after several weeks, when we get to everything being back from like all of the new fall shows, I have a feeling this will fall on the back burner for me. But for now, I'm going to keep watching it. There was enough there that I enjoyed, but the darkness and the characters and all the criminals and all that stuff, it's just not something I'm interested in. I stopped watching cop shows years ago, and because I just didn't like being around those themes and the criminal mind and that kind of stuff. It just didn't really work for me. So, but Ben McKenzie did a great job as Detective Gordon. So for me, that's really the reason I'm coming back. And I am curious about the mystery of some of the other characters that I'm not familiar with. I want to know. I want to see how they reveal and how they grow into them, because you can really feel like the seeds were definitely planted, and so we'll see what happens after they water those plants and they start growing. So, all right, there you go. A gardening metaphor for Gotham, where I don't think anything grows. No, there were some plants. I'm not going to get into that. All right, let me know what you think. Especially if you are a big fan of the Batman universe or not familiar with it, and how much you liked it. Because I've heard both sides of this. I've heard fans liking it and fans not liking it. So I'm really curious. When you get that divide, I'm like, what is it? What is it that makes that divide? So let me know. All right, thanks for watching.